Hey there, Knicks Nation! Welcome back to the channel. I'm Adam, and today we're diving deep into one of the hottest topics surrounding our team. Will Mikal Bridges sign an extension with the Knicks? This isn't just about keeping a talented player. It's about the future of our franchise, our salary cap situation, and our championship aspirations. To help us break this down in detail, I'll be interviewing Ryan, the creator of this Top 10 Knicks channel, to share his expertise. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Adam. I'm excited to dig into this topic. There's a lot to unpack here, and it's crucial for Knicks fans to understand all the angles.
Absolutely. So let's start with the basics. What options does Mikal Bridges have on the table?
Great question, Adam. Bridges essentially has 4 paths he can take, and each one has significant implications for both him and the Knicks. Let's break them down. The quick extension. Starting October 1st, Bridges can sign a 2-year extension worth about $72.5 million. This would be adding 2 years to his current contract. 2. The mid-season deal. If Bridges waits until January 6, 2025, which is the 6-month anniversary of the trade that brought him to New York, he can sign a 3-year extension for $113 million. 3. The summer splash. If Bridges holds out until the 2025 offseason, he can sign a 4-year extension worth $157 million. And 4. The free agency gamble. Bridges could play out his current contract into unrestricted free agency in 2026 and potentially sign a brand new 5-year deal worth nearly $300 million.
Wow, those are some big numbers. Can you break down what these options mean financially for Bridges and the Knicks?
Absolutely. Options 1, 2, and 3 all feature Bridges getting a max 40% raise on the last year of his current deal. Let's look at what those numbers would be. In the 2026-27 season, age 30, $34.86 million. In the 2027-28 season, age 31, $37.65 million. In the 2028-29 season, age 32, $40.66 million. In the 2029-30 season, age 33, $43.91 million. To put this in perspective, based on current projections, Bridges would go from being the 67th highest paid player in the NBA in the 2025-26 season to about the 50th highest paid player in the first year of the new deal.
That's a significant jump. How does this compare to other recent extensions we've seen?
Well, it's not quite the bargain that Jalen Brunson's recent extension was, but it's still pretty fair value for a player of Bridges' caliber. We're talking about a 2-way wing who can defend multiple positions, shoot the 3, and create his own shot. Players like that don't grow on trees.
True, but there's always risk involved with long-term contracts. What are some factors Bridges and his agent might be considering?
Great point, Adam. There are a few key things to consider here. First, this extension wouldn't kick until after Mikal's 30th birthday. That's not old by any means, but it's something to keep in mind. More importantly, unlike Brunson, there's a decent chance that this is Mikal's last massive deal if he extends for the full 4 years. That's something he and his agent will have to weigh carefully. On the flip side, Bridges could almost certainly get more money by waiting to hit the open market, but that comes with its own risks, injuries, changes in market, etc.
So, given all these factors, what's your prediction, Ryan? What do you think Bridges will do?
If I had to guess, I think Bridges signs a 3-year, $113 million extension with a player option on the last season, sometime in January.
Interesting. Why January specifically?
Well, this would align perfectly with Brunson and Anunoby's contracts, who also have player options for the 28-29 season. It would also potentially line up with Josh Hart, on whom the Knicks hold a club option for the 2027-28 season and could be entering unrestricted free agency in 2028. This alignment is crucial. It gives the Knicks a clear window with their core players and allows for flexibility down the line. If things are going well, they can keep the band together. If adjustments need to be made, they have the option to do so.
That makes a lot of sense. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the salary cap. How does a potential Bridges extension affect the Knicks cap situation?
This is where it gets complicated, Adam. Let's break it down year by year. For the 2026-27 season, on the contract we've got OG Anunoby at $42.5 million, Jalen Brunson at $37.74 million, Josh Hart at $20.92 million, Dante DiVincenzo at $12.54 million, Miles McBride at $3.96 million, Tyler Kolek at $2.3 million, and Pacome Dadier with a $1.99 million team option. That's a total of $121.94 million. Add-in Bridges projected $34.86 million, and we're looking at a total of $156.8 million. Now, the projected salary cap for that season is $170.1 million, with a luxury tax line at $206.7 million, and a first apron at $215.5 million, and a second apron at $228.6 million.
Those are some big numbers. What does this mean for the Knicks' flexibility?
With Bridges on his new deal, the Knicks would be about $72 million under the second apron. That sounds great, right? Well, not so fast. This doesn't account for Julius Randle or any centers, let alone the rest of the roster.
So, is it even possible for the Knicks to stay under the second apron with a Bridges extension?
It's not impossible, but it would require some clever maneuvering. They could A. Extend Julius on a fairly team-friendly number, B. Swap him for a different forward or wing who makes an annual salary in the $35 to $40 million range, or C. Trade Julius for a center who would take up the lion's share of the remaining wiggle room and then fill out the rest of the roster with cheap deals.
Interesting options. What about the following season?
For the 2027-28 season, we've got Anunoby at $45.4 million, Brunson at $40.5 million, Hart at $22.4 million, Dadier with a $3.6 million team option, and Kolek with a $2.5 million team option. That's a total of $114.4 million. Add-in Bridges projected $37.65 million, and we're at $152.06 million. The projected figures for the season are a $187.1 million salary cap, a $227.4 million luxury tax line, a $237 million first apron, and a $251.4 million second apron.
So how does this look for the Knicks?
With Bridges, the Knicks are now nearly $100 million under the second apron for the 2027-28 season. Sounds great, right? Well, again, we need to pump the brakes a bit. This total is without 1. Julius Randle, 2. Any centers, 3. Dante DiVincenzo, 4. Miles McBride, and 5. Several additional unfilled roster spots.
Speaking of DiVincenzo, what's his situation looking like?
That's a great point to bring up, Adam. Unlike Brunson and Bridges, DiVincenzo's salary is so below market that he's almost certainly not going to extend before hitting unrestricted free agency. The most he can get by extending would be a contract starting at $18 million. That's barely more than Obi Toppin money in 2027-28 dollars. If he waits until unrestricted free agency, he'll be entering his age 31 season. That's a little old for a mega rich new contract, but not so old as to scare off all the prospective bidders. In short, the front office may need to crack the piggy bank to keep the Nova Knicks together.
It sounds like staying under the second apron long-term might be a real challenge.
You're absolutely right, Adam. Between a new deal for DiVincenzo, a raise for Randall or whoever is occupying his salary slot at the time, and the need for big men and additional depth, it seems hard to imagine the front office will be able to stay below the second apron in the 2027-28 season. This assumes, of course, that the Knicks are a contending team and thus comfortable locking in their roster with all the restrictions that come with going over the second threshold. Well, speaking of the second apron, let's look at the key consequences of exceeding the second apron. 1. Limited trade flexibility. Teams will not be able to combine multiple players' salaries in trades and can only make 1-for-1 trades with equal or less salary coming back and cannot use trade exceptions. 2. No mid-level exception. Teams cannot sign players using the mid-level exception in free agency. 3. Cannot sign and trade their own players. Teams cannot acquire players by signing and trading their own free agents. 4. Frozen draft pick. If a team is over the second apron at the end of the season, their first round pick 7 years in the future becomes frozen and cannot be traded. And 5. No cash in trades. Teams cannot use cash to facilitate trades.
Now some fans might be thinking, this sounds like a headache. Why even bother with an extension? What would you say to that, Ryan?
Great question, Adam. I'd say this would actually be a fantastic problem to have. If this scenario unfolds and the front office feels that much confidence in what they've assembled to dip into the second apron 3 years from now, we should all be counting our lucky stars. A Bridges extension would help the Knicks immensely in holding off this eventual fate, even if only for 1 year. It would also provide some peace of mind for all parties involved. Bridges gets his big payday in security, while the Knicks lock up a key piece of their core for the foreseeable future.
Let's zoom out for a second and talk about what Bridges brings to the table. Why is he so valuable to the Knicks?
Absolutely, Adam. When Bridges was traded to the Nets, he showed flashes of being more than just a 3D wing. His ability to create his own shot, facilitate for others, and defend multiple positions makes him an invaluable piece in today's NBA. Moreover, his durability is off the charts. Bridges has never missed a game in his NBA career. This kind of reliability is rare and incredibly valuable over the course of a long season.
Those are some impressive stats. So what's the bottom line here, Ryan?
While extending Bridges might create some salary cap gymnastics down the line, it's a move that makes sense for both parties. The Knicks get to keep a key piece of their core locked up through his prime years, while Bridges gets financial security and a chance to be part of something special in New York.
Thanks for that incredibly detailed breakdown, Ryan. Now I want to hear from you, Knicks Nation. What do you think about extending Mikal Bridges? Should we lock him up long-term or wait and see how things play out? And how do you feel about potentially going into the second apron in a few years if it means keeping this core together? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the Knicks salary cap situation and Bridges' future, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We'll be bringing you in-depth Knicks content all season long. Before we wrap up, let's do a quick recap. 1. Bridges has 4 extension options, ranging from 2 to 5 years. 2. A 3-year, $113 million extension seems most likely. 3. Extending Bridges helps the Knicks cap situation in the short term. 4. Staying under the second apron long term will be challenging, but that's a good problem to have. 5. Bridges' all-around game and durability make him a valuable piece for the Knicks' future. Remember, Knicks fans, whether we extend Bridges or not, we're all in this together. The future is bright in New York, and Mikal Bridges could be a big part of that. Here's to what promises to be an exciting few years of Knicks basketball. This is Adam signing off. Let's go, Knicks!